what's up, y'all? This is OG Swaggerdick, and you're now tuning in to Cabbages Hip Hop Podcast. Ooh-wee! Booyah, shaka!
Hello and welcome to the Cabbages Hip Hop Podcast. I'm your host, Gary Suarez. I'm a music journalist and critic, and I write a twice-weekly hip-hop newsletter called Cabbages, which you can subscribe to for free at cabbageshiphop.com. Joining me as always is my 420 friendly friend and co-host, music industry insider Jeffery Laughlin. It's season 3 of the podcast, and for those of you keeping count, this one's all about stoner comedies. So today, we'll be talking about Your Highness, the 2011 film that the New York Times called, quote, a Cheech and Chong movie in period drag. And we'll get into the show in just a minute. But please, if you're listening and you haven't done this already, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. And if you could rate the show 5 stars, that would be even better. And if you could do all that and write a review, well, then you'd be my knight in shining armor. Thank you. Sorry. Here's a word from our sponsor.
This episode of Cabbages is brought to you by Wave Party. We've got sounds for music makers, samples, loops, and Ableton packs based on analog drum machines, modular synthesizers, and all kinds of weird-ass gear. It's all 40% off right now during our summer sale, and every cent goes to Compass Center to support women and families in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Everyone deserves safety and support. Check it out at waveparty.com. There's a bunch of free stuff, too. That's wavparty.com.
Almost impossible for me to want to really discuss the film. Even the parts I laughed at, I don't even want to reveal that I laughed at them because it makes me an idiot 13-year-old. You know what I mean? I'm projecting that image out into the world, Gary.
No, I hear you. We've talked about bad movies on this show before.
We have.
We've talked about.
This was for me kind of Tom and Jerry level misery. It's not as bad as Tom and Jerry. I was so.
We did 45 minutes on Tom and Jerry.
We did.
We were able to, when we had an amazing guest, obviously for that. You know, Don Will was somebody who was well versed in Tom and Jerry lore and could. But also, that was our least.
In a way, he was one of our best guests, but also it was one of our least funny episodes because we were all just so depressed.
Right.
And I don't want that to happen again. So, how do we combat the fatigue of bad movie cinema?
And look, I'm going to try not to get dark with this when talking about this movie, but I there's some dark shit that I am kind of holding on to from watching this. You know, I watched
how
this.
How could you not? There was some really weird choices.
Let's maybe we'll get into it. Maybe we'll get into it when we really talk. I don't know. I'm going to hopefully not to.
We have to. I know. I don't want to talk about the Wizard, but we have to. We have to at some point.
No, I know, but. I think there's a way for us to talk about this movie without it being a downer for the entire episode.
Okay.
There's some because choices make parts of this, if not necessarily funny, but interesting. So for example, why when Justin Theroux, who plays the evil wizard Lazar, why when he reclaims Zooey Deschanel Belladonna, into captivity, he has a feast with his witch mothers where they eat fish sticks and peas.
I didn't even realize that there were peas in the. I know
there was bowls of peas, just bowls of peas.
Oh my god!
So fish and Toby Jones appearing via Toby Jones is Julie, the eunuch, appearing to him in some cauldron or whatever. And saying, oh, is that fish fingers? That to me is one of the funniest parts of the film. And it has
Belladonna singing for no reason. It's a musical for a minute and a half.
Yes.
I didn't laugh so much at her singing as she's about to get married, but I did laugh at the stupidity of having a song and then never again bringing up anyone singing.
Well, the
Just
song is
one
brilliant.
song.
The song is brilliant
Sung-
because like she actually like she has albums out. Like Zoe Deschanel has
Right,
like
right.
music out. But it was the joke with that that really is funny is James Franco is really singing in that scene too.
Right.
He's a
so
terrible singer.
Oh, that was like that scene, and then to never bring up singing again. I was like, I'm down. I can work with this. And again, I think we talked about this while we were watching it the first time, but there was like until the scene with the wizard, it was earmarked to me to be a funny movie. Like, this could have been pretty good.
Yeah.
I was still willing to give them laughs at really dumb shit because I was like, cool, this is gonna like pay off. We're gonna have like fun stuff happen.
Yeah, no, because
the wizard comes.
no, not the wizard, not the wizard.
And then the wizard comes
no.
and everything changes. No more smoking, no more. It's just only dick jokes.
No, it's
a stern, like efficient amount of dick jokes. Like you're driving a fucking Volvo.
When I started watching
Efficient.
the film.
We haven't had a dick joke in 2.5 minutes. We got to get one in.
When I started watching the movie, with the eyes of someone in 2021, there was the scene in the dwarf kingdom, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be really awkward. There's going to be a lot of like shitty jokes about little people. I'm going to hate this.
Mm-hmm.
But then the one gag they did around that was actually one of the funniest things in the film. Was the gallows is too small for Danny McBride's Thaddeus.
I mean, like the beginning of this film, we're like right there on it being pretty good.
That's the expectation.
15, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Is that like the gags are good, things are fun, there's some lighthearted sex humor, and then it turns into penises.
It really does. It really does. We've watched this multiple times ahead of this episode, which we do because we care about our listeners and providing them with a good program.
We have to be experts on the matter.
We have to be able to speak to it. Otherwise it's just pointless. But like I started to do my research around this and I realized what the problem of this movie is, that it's all your fault, Jeff.
It's my fault?
Because all these guys...
Because I smoked some weed?
No, because all these guys are stoners from North Carolina. Like you.
I gave birth to these people?
These are your people. Like this is your clan. This is your clan. Yeah, this is your people.
What has New York City ever given to culture?
Everything.
Say you, Gary. Say for always. And that's the way it should be. I don't want to talk about the wizard. Say you, Gary. Say it forever. Naturally.
We'll be right back. I'm so excited to introduce our guest for today's show. Joining us now is OG Swaggerdick.
Ooh.
The Boston rapper's latest project is called Flaccid Rap, available wherever music is streamed or sold. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's happening, man? I did my ooey early, so that's the free ooey, man. Rest you got to pay for, $50 a ooh. No, I'm joking. Ooey.
We crowdfund.
Hey, crowdfund for the ooeys.
We crowdfund. Put on
Please,
credit.
can we get us a new ooey?
Sign into my Patreon. They hear me say ooey multiple times.
Well, you're one of the funniest people who's in my Instagram feed almost every day. And
thank you.
I love what you do on multiple levels. And I felt like if anybody was going to sit down and talk with us about Your Highness, it was going to be you. So thank you so much for doing this with us.
Yeah, man.
David Gordon Green, the director, this was his follow-up to Pineapple Express. Huge hit. A number of the same cast members are in this film as well. Did you see Pineapple Express like when it came out? Did you have any kind of memories of just your experience with that film, or was this something you came to later?
When Pineapple Express came out, I just knew it was about weed. And what year was that? Was it like 2010 or something like that?
It was 2008.
2008.
Yeah.
So I definitely was around it. Wasn't really like watching it, I don't think, because I'm not, it's funny. I'm like not a huge movie person, but at the same time I watch movies, but like a niche kind of movie. But I watch trash movies.
Trash movies.
Yeah. Well, movies that people would think are trash, but some of them are not trash. Some of them are trash, but they're so trash that they're entertaining. But
I also live by this weird rule where I
yeah,
also watch
man.
terrible movies.
It's pretty funny. But
Yeah.
Pineapple Express, I didn't really watch it until I don't know when. I've watched bits and pieces, but I haven't just sat down and watched the whole thing. Funny enough.
Do you remember enjoying it at all?
I remember enjoying the parts that I watched, definitely. I thought it was funny. So I got to go watch the whole thing. I know like there's a part where they're like looking for the drugs and like they're in the car and the killers are inside, I guess, or the hitman. And that's like the part I remember the most. And then them smoking, of course.
Now, do you remember liking anything in Your Highness?
This is the first time I watched Your Highness, and I was very confused. But
Okay.
there were some parts I laughed at.
To put it.
And so with me, I don't know if I'm really big into medieval things, like the medieval times. It just turns me off.
I don't think anybody in this movie was either.
And I think that's why I appreciate it, because they went this left, especially going from Pineapple Express. You just go into this, like this is your next movie. It's just like based on medieval times. But this movie there were funny parts to it. I was just kind of like scatterbrained.
Before we go too much deeper, I think it'd be helpful for us to understand kind of, and go back for a sec to say, like, you said that you watch trash movies, and I feel like that's something that comes up on this show a lot, both in terms of my taste in films and Jeff's films. We watch a lot of movies that people think are bad or are guilty pleasures, not just for the show, but just in general. Like, we did a whole season of Leprechaun movies. Like, we are absolutely.
You did a whole season of Leprechaun movies. Did you watch Leprechaun from the Hood?
We watched all 6 with Warwick Davis. So In the Hood and Back to the Hood.
Yo, that's crazy. Those movies just look scary. I'm just like, it's a leprechaun. It's a leprechaun in the hood. I just was like, this movie might be shitty. I'm not gonna watch it. It would always come on, and I would just like kind of walk out the room, I think.
Well, if you ever get a chance,
don't watch them. Don't watch them. No, don't watch them.
The real money.
I'm gonna watch them. I'll watch them.
The real money is Leprechaun in Space. That is a fantastic piece of garbage film.
Leprechaun in Space sounds nuts. Why is a leprechaun in space?
Oh, there's so many great questions. If you watch them all in order, the questions only get more inordinate and pointless.
Especially because he goes to space before he goes to the hood.
Right.
That's fire. You went to space and then went to the hood?
Also,
that's a humble leprechaun.
There's no explanation as to why he goes to space or how. He's just smash cut open. The leprechaun
just goes to space.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that leprechaun though, because that's very humble. He went back to the hood to see other leprechauns. I don't know. Maybe hot take. Maybe it was shot in Boston, and maybe he thought the Irish people still lived in Dorchester. Hey, look at that.
We're getting very topical here. Getting regional and topical. I appreciate
Leprechaun in the Hood, man. Hot takes.
It's amazing. Now, I do want to get your take on your definition of, or examples of perhaps, a good trash movie, like the kind of trash movie that you would defend, or if you saw it on TV, you'd say, I'm going to watch this. I don't care how many times I've seen it.
Oh, man, a good trash movie. Damn. Like the old Master P movies.
Oh, sure. Like I Got the Hookup.
I got the hookup, but more so like the movies that came out with the albums, like the Last Dawn movie.
Oh.
It's just like, why is Master P talking in an Italian accent and a part of the mob? None of it makes absolute sense at all. None of it. But it is so good because it's just so bad.
Sub-question, why isn't he talking in an Italian accent?
It's so bad. Why is Master P talking in Italian? He's like, my father is dead. I am the Don. I'm like, what is this? And then there's like a basketball scene where like the gym, the the locker room gets shot up. It's just mad random things like Hot Boys. Hot Boys is a good movie, but it's bad too. It's just, I don't know. I just like seeing the flaws and laughing.
I have a pair of Percy Miller shorts from his 15-day contract or 10-day contract with the Hornets. And it reminded me that like you can't get any kind of movie with him in it that doesn't have a basketball scene in it for some reason.
Yo, that's true.
He's always playing. He's like,
That's kind of like what
I'm really good at playing basketball. I got it, man.
yeah, it's kind of like what Martin Lawrence in boxing, because Martin Lawrence used to box.
Oh.
So like he always does, like, you notice it in the show Martin, he always wants to fight. That's like he incorporates that in there because he was a boxer. So like I know he does that in a lot of movies and things like in his younger days. But yeah, it's kind of funny how like that's always like a thing.
In Your Highness, I feel like that talent is at the beginning is smoking weed, and then later making dick jokes.
Exactly. Yo, that's crazy. It's so crazy. I was lost, but I picked that up. Like, it was definitely weed. And then there was like a bunch of like sex jokes, a bunch of like what's it called?
Misogyny.
Misogyny.
Yeah, misogyny. It's mad misogyny. It's pretty funny. And then like the scene where homegirl comes in and she's like the best one. I forgot her name. She's on the cover though. And
Natalie
he's like, we're men, we'll protect you. Yeah. He's like, we're men, we'll protect you. And she's like clearly better than them.
That was like her entrance and her exits were incredible. Everything in between, it was very, very obvious that person did not want to be in this film.
No, Natalie Portman definitely didn't come off as somebody who wanted to be in this film. And there's some evidence beyond just the performance, of course, too.
Right. Yeah.
What's the evidence?
She did this film to try and bankroll Black Swan, but then somebody else bankrolled it and she was just stuck there with these total morons.
She had her passion project and she's like, well, I'll suck it up and do this, swords and sorcery parody film with these boneheads. But then it turned out that she got financing for it and didn't need to, but she had already signed on to do this movie and she was kind of trapped.
Oh, okay. So she's all right.
That's sort of like the subversive narrative. Like, I think she put on a good face for the press around the film, but
I mean, would you go in and like act your ass off with these dudes? Improving?
Well, yes. Well,
90% of written scripts.
Well, that's the key thing is like Natalie Portman is not an improv person.
Right.
She's an actress.
Right.
You give her a script, she can do amazing things with it. Right. But improv, basically, she's around a bunch of people who have done tons of improv. And if you watch Pineapple Express, like the improv scenes between James Franco and Danny McBride, and with Seth Rogen, of course, are really well done and really funny. And for some reason, I don't know, somewhere between Pineapple Express and Your Highness, they forgot how to do funny improv.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is improv like 90% dick jokes now? I don't know.
Yeah, it was a lot of dick jokes in this one. And the naked woman thing was I laughed at that. I thought that was funny.
Where they threw a sci-fi movie into the middle of this film.
Yeah, that was also
it's
confusing.
A sci-fi movie for the next like
alien.
6 minutes.
There was also an alien, and I was like, okay, all right. So the alien's into equation now. And then the guy that was dickless, I like that one. That was pretty good.
Toby Jones. I mean, Toby Jones, who like played like Truman Capote. Like he's played like really amazing roles. Like he's quite a well-regarded actor, and he plays a eunuch in this one.
This might be like white people's equivalent to like I Got the Hookup Too, or like How High Too, or something like that.
I'm listening.
Go on.
This might be you guys is like I Got the Hookup Too.
I'm not mad at
because
this.
It's like a shitty movie. I think, oh damn, white people got the movies too. That's crazy. Yo, white people got just as bad movies as black people.
I would go ahead and jump in and say that there's equal trash.
I mean, like in like a bad like comedic way. Like,
right.
We made this to be funny, but like, and we got this all-star cast kind of like mad. Let's just put mad people that people know that are funny. But in this film, it doesn't really work together. And
Right.
it's just kind of like a weird.
And they'd
like,
done movies together before. It's not like these dudes had just
Yeah.
met and started improv.
Yeah, like I got the
They
hookup
did this
too,
like
like movies
6
like that.
times.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of funny people, and like maybe they've all been together and stuff, but then like they come in this movie, and it's just like it doesn't really. It's even better. This is you guys' soul plane. That's what this is.
Okay, now
Yes,
we're talking.
this is your soul
I'm with
plane.
you on this.
This is your soul plane. Your Highness is equivalent to soul plane.
That works for me. Gary, how do you feel about this?
I mean, look, I feel like that denigrates Soul Plane.
That's fair.
Soul Plane was at least, yeah, I would say Soul Plane was kind of what had more jokes, but it was still a little like.
Oh, it's also terrible.
No, it's terrible, but like the Monique
Okay,
stuff in
cool.
Soul Plane is better than anything in this film.
Okay, yeah. So that part was funny. There was some funny parts in Soul Plane, but then there were just some parts that I grew up and watched and was just like, fam, why did I like this when I was little? Like, this shit is ass, bro. I also had a DVD before, like months before Soul Plane came out. I had a bootleg, and it had all of the real music. Like, it had 50 Cent in the Club. It had like music, all the music that they made like fake the parody music to, or like the music that I guess they couldn't clear or something.
So you had the screener.
I think so. I think I had the screener, and that shit was so much better. People would talk about how bad Soul Plane was, and I thought it was so good. And I guess it's because I watched the screener. But when you watch it on BET or something, I'm just like, this shit is trash, bro. Like, what the fuck is this?
I think you were absolutely on point when you said this is white people's idea of funny in a bad movie, because that is exactly what this is. Because the last film that we watched for the podcast was we watched Grow House, and I don't know if you've seen Grow House. Dre Davis and Lil Duval,
Dre Davis and Lil Duval. That sound
and Faison Love is in it, and it's
this. Those. Oh my gosh, that is the cast for like low budget, like we want to be funny movie. That's like the people that not so more so Dre Davis, but like Faison Love and fucking who was the last person you just said?
Lil Duval.
And Lil Duval. Like, yeah, like back then it's just like, he's funny, let's get him. Like it's kind of like you just gather up all these funny people and you're like, yeah, they're hella funny, but like in this movie, it just comes off as kind of like, all right.
This is something that happens with a lot of stoner movies.
Yeah, it's like it's nice. They got to check from that.
Some of them, it's because there's this like expectation that like the Hollywood expectation for what happens when you smoke weed is, dramatic and weird and not that funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just kind of like you're in
wild out and do crazy stuff. And like, dude, most of us just like, it's not funny because you smoked weed and you like broke and entered into someone's house and made like a butter statue.
Yeah,
it's funny because you watched a TV show and it was funnier because you were high. That's it. That's what most of us do.
I think that's why How High was so funny, and like movies like Half Baked. Right. I think they were so funny because they actually like they got the stoner. Like it was like real. It felt like a real stoner, but it felt like comedy too. Like
Pineapple Express too.
Like, Pineapple Express.
Credit where credit's due. Those dudes nailed it.
Yeah, that movie too. Film. I was just saying more so like movies I've watched like thoroughly.
Right.
But like those two movies I named specifically, they captured like an actual stoner. Like it's Method Man and Redman just smoking weed, being cool, and like getting good grades. And you wouldn't expect them to get good grades because they look like potheads and smell like weed. But then they got jokes out the ass, and they're just them. It's just like it just worked.
I think where the fundamental difference with a film like Your Highness is like you take a film like How High, and the budget is kind of low, and so you come in with somewhat lowered expectations, and you enjoy what you've watched. This was big budget, multi-million dollars with people who were like Hollywood stars. Like Danny McBride was a fucking star at this point. He had like 2 seasons of Eastbound and Down. James Franco was James Franco. James Franco was huge by that point. And Natalie Portman. Like, so you put these people in there, and the director is David Gordon Green, who had a huge success with Pineapple Express. And so like you have all of these people. So suddenly the expectation is now huge. Oh, so we've got James Franco around the time of 127 Hours. You've got Danny McBride between seasons 2 and 3 of Eastbound and Down. And like this is the same year he did like 30 Minutes or Less. He did Kung Fu Panda 2.
I was about to say he was in like 17 things that year. And maybe that was it, is that like the first one, they all had the time to like do the damn thing. And now this time they were crazy, pulled in 100 directions and thought they could get together and crack some dick jokes and make $1 million.
It was definitely.
Which, to be fair to them, they cracked a bunch of dick jokes. They got one of those 2 steps right.
Yeah, I think this thing was just like it was kind of exaggeration high movie. It was just kind of like,
yeah,
it's like that person that like smoked for the first time and they're like acting like they're high, but you can tell they're not really high. They're just like,
oh,
I'm mad high, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, yo, oh,
things look weird. And I'm like, no,
yeah. And you're just like, man, no, it doesn't. Like, I'm right here. Do you want to go to Burger King? I'm hungry. Why are you doing all this? Weed doesn't make you act like this. What did you smoke? Because I didn't smoke.
You're not chasing sheep. You're not out there.
Yeah.
Like that isn't what you fucking do. They built this up as this is a high budget stoner comedy.
Yeah.
And then after 30 minutes, nobody smokes weed anymore.
Yeah, they just smoke weed like one time.
They smoke in the opening credits, the animated opening credits. He smokes instead of attending his brother's wedding.
Yeah.
Thaddeus smokes in the carriage at the start of the quest.
Right.
Smokes some shit in the lair of the wise wizard.
Right.
And then we don't see him smoke weed no more ever again in the film.
To the point where it's less stoner film than it is an action adventure comedy. And this brings up my point. Who is this movie for? That's one of my favorite questions, one of Gary's favorite questions.
I think it's just for people who like these actors, personally.
I think
because it's kind of like the same cast.
Yeah.
This would be there to Pimp a Butterfly, even though that album is amazing. But it just goes like.
I was about to say, I don't know if I want to put those on the same level.
No. Yeah. It's on a lower, very much lower scale. But it's just like they kind of, you go from one thing and then you go totally left, and people don't expect this. I don't think people would expect this from Pineapple Express. You wouldn't expect like medieval times from like, oh, we just found some great weed and we're being chased. You know, it kind of just like, it just goes in a totally different setting.
Can we get you to write the like blurbs that go on to like cable networks? Like if I flip through and I hit Pineapple Express and the little blurb is like, what did you say?
I don't even know what I just said.
This is the typical butterfly of stoner movies.
That's good. And then the next line would be like, oh, we just found some really good weed and now we're being chased. I would be like, well, I've got to watch this fucking movie.
Yeah, we just found weed and now we're being chased. That's really like the description.
Put those two thoughts together.
But it's
boom,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Your Highness is kind of like, okay, if I like Star Wars and Pineapple Express and all of these actors, and then I also watched Game of Thrones, I would like this movie. And I don't like 2 out of the 3 of those.
It's really funny that you bring up Game of Thrones, because the king, played by Charles Dance, King Tallius, is fucking like one of the lead people in
Game of Thrones, right?
Game of Thrones, and like was like the first season of Game of Thrones was like right after this.
Damn, so I mean, shout out to that because shout out to that because that got him that role, I'm pretty sure. So you know, something good came out of it, I guess, for like a niche brand of people.
Good for Charles Dance.
I told my girlfriend she might like this movie because she's into like medieval things.
She also might find it to be a disturbing view of the universe that she's grown to love.
Yeah, she also might just be kind of over.
She might be like, this sucks.
Yeah, she might. It's kind of fun watching.
You got to keep us posted.
Yeah, like I was watching this video yesterday, and I was laughing so much, and I like told her to watch it, and then she picked up exactly what I picked up in like 30 seconds, and I just started laughing, man. It was just the most funniest thing ever.
Where are we at on laughs? Are you guys like laughing a lot?
I laughed, but like then I kind of got distracted.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of got distracted. Maybe I need to sit down again and watch it.
There were long periods. The battle scenes were wildly forgettable.
The first one with the fingers was cool.
Oh,
that was the only one that was actually like a really cool thing.
Yeah, that one was cool. The rest of them were kind of like, I really don't remember. I just remember like him telling him if he like really he could actually be a good nobleman, but he was just like kind of a jack off. But then he ends up not being a jack off and
Right.
fixing it, getting it together.
Yeah, in one of the most like abrupt scenes ever, he suddenly becomes less of a piece of shit
Right.
Yeah,
because he's been like talked to by a wall made of eyes that's helped him see the light. Are you fucking kidding me that's the like you've been a shitbag for your entire life, but then like a wall full of eyes that's like, here's your way home, or you can save your brother's life. And he's like, suddenly now I give a shit. Oh
Yeah.
Yeah, if you present something as a really easy binary, then people can make like a really good decision. If
Yeah,
everything was just simple and stupid, then everybody would make the right decision all the time.
yeah, it was just kind of like it was just way too much going on.
Yeah.
You had the like ghost talking, then you had that alien, then you had them smoking weed, and then in medieval times, it just all didn't work together. It's kind of like putting watermelon in a smoothie. It's just not really like the best thing.
You know, to get back to Jeff's question from before, who is this movie for? It's for David Gordon Green, Danny McBride, and Ben Best. It's basically like it's like three fucking stoners from North Carolina who said, hey, you know what? What if we were able to make a movie that's based on like the shitty 1980s sword and sorcery movies, those real low budget shits, your Beastmasters, Barbarian Queen, all that nonsense. And then somehow they become famous and a studio says, what would you like to make? And it's like, we'd like to make this stupid fucking movie idea we have.
Yeah, what if this was his goal this whole time?
Like, I don't think
like this was his goal. You know how like certain I've always made these jokes like, what if somebody like you like did somebody like you did something fucked up to somebody in like the 6th grade and that motivated them to become so successful that they could just shit on you, and that was like their main goal.
Right.
And like they got that famous and then they finally were able to do that prank on you, and then you're just like, you did this so you could do that the whole time.
Just imagine that somebody gives you $50 million, and that's the estimated budget of this movie.
This budget was $50 million?
Someone gave you $50 million, and you're like, I'm going to make a dick and fart movie.
Bro, this movie was not $50 million worth of movie.
No.
Maybe the castle and all the like effects and shit, I guess, but like
the effects were trash.
They definitely pocketed some of this. I'm gonna be honest. And you know what? Shout out to them for being able to do this. But $50 million, like
50 million.
That's the definition of white privilege.
Yo, you're right.
Think of the good that $50 million could have gone to. Think of the good.
Think of how many Master P movies you could do for $50 million.
Oh my God, 50 million.
You could do 50 million Master P movies with $50 million.
If not less, or if not more. Probably somewhere in the vicinity of like 65 cents.
Yeah, you would definitely get some really good Master P movies with $50 million.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Or one that is completely off the rails.
Yeah.
It'd be like Master P's Caligula. It would be fucking amazing.
You would have, you pretty much have.
You got to make a poster of Master P.
I'm very excited because Master P's making his like life movie, kind of like his Compton, his Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah,
which I'm very because I'm a huge Master P fan, so I'm like excited for that. Very excited, and I can't.
And it's like, give that movie a $50 million budget. Really knock it out of the fucking park.
Yeah,
this is just a waste. And like, look. The thing that really, we talk about getting distracted. I got distracted during this movie because of so many of the faces that I recognized from other shit. People who weren't that famous at that point in time, at least not in the US, like Damian Lewis, who plays Beaumont, you know, the knight who's harboring a crush on James Franco's Fabius. Like that guy went on and like did Homeland and like became a star. Toby Jones is in all the like the Avengers movies. And then there's like weird things. So like, do you remember the start of the movie, the narration before we get to the scene with Danny McBride?
Yeah, the Leprechaun opening credits.
The Leprechaun style opening credits.
They had Leprechaun style closing credits. It was very strange how like.
Do you know who the voice was for that?
Who?
is the actor Charles Shaughnessy, who is best known as the star of TV's The Nanny.
Wow.
They hired that dude.
Like to do like
That's
3 minutes of
crazy.
monologue.
Name something that happened in that part.
I think, yeah,
Feel
they
free.
definitely paid
I
these
can't.
people a shit ton of money. They paid all these people a shit ton of money. $50 million.
Like he didn't
Yeah.
even do any other narration for the rest of the film. He did like a 2-minute intro and was gone.
I wonder how much they paid him.
Like they paid him to do what? To set up a film that didn't need to be set up. Did we need exposition on this fucking movie?
Name a part that happened.
Also, Fabius
Like,
is a
what did
very
he
funny
say?
name. I have to mention that.
Fabius is a funny name.
Fabius is a funny name.
It
It's
is.
pretty good.
The names are actually pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Where were they?
In terms
Was
of
this
They were
universe
just in
ever
the,
actually
they were
defined?
just in the medieval times, wherever medieval times.
But like, did the medieval
Or-
times have like recorded aliens? Dudes
no,
who,
I think
like,
I
stick
think
his fingers in a potion. Is this Middle Earthy?
I think we're getting to some sort of like maybe this isn't Earth, maybe this isn't meant to be like
Right, that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
But they never really told us where we were or what the consequences of being there were.
Yeah, because again, like there's no thought put into this. This is a movie that's like 90% improv and
Oh, damn. This movie, so they spent $50 million in box office, only made 28 million.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, this
It
was a bust.
it was a
Real
total
bomb.
flop.
That I feel bad. Yeah, I feel a little bad.
I don't
No,
really feel
you
all
should
that
not
bad.
feel bad because like
No.
all of these guys got second chances.
I mean, you're right about that part.
In fact, made a movie together called This Is the End. Where is that a Gordon Green one?
No, but it's got a lot of the same guys.
But all the same dudes are in it, plus Craig Robinson's back. which
Yeah.
makes it
like
infinitely
no,
fun.
because like I gotta think about like David Gordon Green went after this film went and did like went back to doing the kind of the art house style stuff he did beforehand.
Oh, thank God.
And then eventually came back and he's the guy behind the Halloween movie. So after Rob Zombie ruined the Halloween franchise with 2 really shitty Michael Myers movies,
The last
It-
Halloween movie was amazing.
is David Gordon Green. So like don't feel too bad for him. He keeps getting
All right.
chance after
Wait.
chance after chance. Danny McBride, HBO will put anything he does on.
That's true.
I see
has-
that name around a lot.
And to be fair, his HBO stuff is the best stuff.
So like because he did, Eastbound and
Except for
Down,
Hot Rod.
then he did Vice Principals, and now he's got what Righteous Gemstones. Like he's had like 3 series where he's a star.
Wait,
Yeah,
so
he was in Hot Rod, which is Hall of Fame level shit.
so apparently, side note that
Yeah.
there's 2 more Halloween movies coming out.
Yep, they're gonna do as a trilogy,
It's Halloween. Oh, from the last one.
which is co-written by Danny McBride. So it's like all these guys get extra second chances and special chances again and again and again.
Oh, this wasn't a career killer at all. It just sucked.
It just sucked. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
This would have killed a lot of careers, this type of movie. But for some reason, all these guys basically got to keep going.
Well, by that point, Rogan was huge, right?
Rogan
That
was
is
like
true.
Seth Rogen was star in a movie with Barbara Streisand, huge.
He was so huge. So like at that point, they had a wheel in the system. They had already inserted their man was there, so he was going to get him jobs on whatever he was. working.
Yeah, so they
So
pretty
at
much just
very
had
worst,
leverage
yeah,
just out the
exactly.
ass, pretty much.
They could do whatever they wanted, and this was
And that's why they made Your
what we
Highness.
wanted was a movie that was made to me for 13-year-olds who had just heard about weed. That's who I think the
Yeah.
movie was for. I can't think of another audience that wanted to hear these guys talk about dongs for 2 hours.
This is what they thought was funny to them.
Yeah.
And like that
Fuck-
works. And that
Fuckboy
sometimes
humor is that they predated fuckboy. I know.
I
that.
mean, it's basically like it's a scumbag thing. Like it's just kind of the
Mhm.
scumbag humor that starts with
which
knocked
can
up.
be very funny. It's not like the best thing in the world to do to people, but I've seen movies I laughed a lot at that type of shit. This did not get me.
Yeah, you have like funny dick joke movies. And this
Right.
is just like low.
Like The
tier
Naked
dick
Gun is
joke
like one of the
movie.
greatest movies of all time.
Think about the 40-year-old virgin, which predates all of this. A movie full of dick jokes,
Mhm.
Yeah.
douchey ribbing, and like all that, but funny movie. And then like we go back to Pineapple Express. It's just like I forgot how funny Craig Robinson was in that movie.
Yo, Craig Robinson is amazing.
Fire then too.
And that's what makes me want to watch all these movies too, because of Craig Robinson.
And
Yes.
what's crazy is like, why wasn't Craig Robinson in this movie? This movie would have benefited so much from Craig Robinson.
You could
But
replace almost
honestly,
anyone with Craig Robinson, and that would have been. It would have
it,
given 10 more points on Rotten Tomatoes.
it might have I don't know. It might have been a bad look on him. I'm glad Craig Robinson had nothing to do with this movie.
He might
I
have
am
just been
too.
like, nah, I don't want to do this.
It might have just been, I don't know, it might have just sucked. And I probably would have just looked at him differently, like, damn, he's actually made a bad movie.
He has
Or like
some.
he actually had a bad role.
At that point, it would have been a shock too, because he was also on a crazy wave. Like that whole group was on a wave.
Well, because
Yeah.
like he was also like, he was doing TV at that point too. So he was
he on The Office?
He was on The Office at that
Then,
point. The
yeah.
Office lasted until 2013. So he was like,
Boom.
by that point, he was like in a starring role on The Office. Like I think he started out in the first season.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He
And then he
ascended
got
and-
elevated. So he's on
Yeah.
like the biggest show on television. So
Mhm.
he could be like, you know what? I'm not going to fly to Ireland to do your weird British swordsman movie. I'm gonna stay here and be on the biggest show on television. So
But they caught him for This Is the End, and he's like a delightful portion of that film. So I'm glad. Yeah, I'm with Swag. I like that he's not in this film. Maybe he could have been the giant monster in the Russ Meyer part of the film that like creates the weird dragon hand.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he could have been
That
that
would have
guy,
been
that
great.
Martiti, like that. He could have been that character for sure.
Sure.
I think the problem for me with this movie is I don't know enough about the source material, these like shitty sword and sorcery movies,
Right.
to be able to be like, oh, I get what they're doing here. I'm just like, okay, the Wise Wizard is kind of like a Dark Crystal Labyrinth Muppet thing. So they're doing like a joke about that.
But it's
like,
not. It's like it was just a hodgepodge of like, remember this thing? Like it wasn't particularly pointed to be like, we love those old movies. It was more like we got baked and watched them, and we tried to put together a movie like that.
It's like, I'm sure there's a reason for Simon the Mechanical Bird, but I don't know what that reason is.
Why is there a mechanical bird? OG, can you help us? Why was there a fucking mechanical bird in this movie?
Nothing makes sense. That's what I'm saying. Nothing. I didn't even remember that part.
Are we ready to talk about the Wise Wizard?
I'm ready to talk about the Wise Wizard.
That fucking scene haunted me.
First and foremost, up until this point, now there's not a whole lot of movie to talk about before now, but up until this point, it was semi-engaging and it's kind of a movie up until that point. Then he falls down in the night suit, which is the last like big hearty laugh I got before it just went dark.
Just pure Paul Blart.
Yeah, a Paul Blart moment, just an incredible pratfall. And then after that, they smoke weed with this wizard, and then we plunge into nonsense.
Yeah, and it looks like they're smoking hookah more
Right.
than weed, you know? Like,
And it's like
that also
magic
was-
dust too, because there's like green and magenta coming out of them and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just one long joke about child abuse.
Right.
I mean, look, if you've watched what Danny McBride, what he's done with like Jody Hill, who's another one of these North Carolina fuckers.
All right.
It's basically like the dark humor of the dark humor of the Foot Fist Way, or Jeff's favorite film, Observe and Report.
Okay. First of all, we talked about this, and I do not like that film. I did leave work on the clock once and get really drunk and see it, and then go back to work.
That was a choice.
I did do that, and I was the only one in the theater, so I drank 2 huge Asahis. I like left the theater during the movie, went and got the beers, came back and drank them, and was like, "This is so bad." In every way. I was miserable in there. I was like, "This is what I chose to like stick it to my employer to do." Sit by myself and see this piece of shit.
Damn, so you had beers in the theater by yourself and watched this?
When it was apparent no one was coming, yeah, I went and got some Asahis.
That's kind of sad. I'm not gonna lie,
I don't
bro.
know, man.
I mean, there's reasons I don't drink anymore.
There's
Why
reasons
is-
why you don't drink anymore. Exactly.
Yeah, is that a big
Yo, is this one of the reasons?
I don't. Now that I think about it, probably it's a collage of reasons, really.
Yeah, I mean, but
There's
that specific moment could just definitely have you like, fam, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, I took 2 hours out of my life, but I got paid for it.
Oh, I mean, shout out to that.
Yeah, shout out to
Yeah.
that.
You know,
So the wise wizard scene has not left me. Was haunted by this idea that like basically this is a film about child abuse and child molestation, and they play it up to a joke where basically 2 words, playful secrets, which is just like I can't even fathom.
wait, that's what this movie's about?
Like basically it's just like this is the trauma. I mean, if we really want to get into it, like this is the trauma
I want
of
to get into it.
somebody who spent his childhood
Mhm.
being molested by a weird fucking Muppet.
It wasn't just his childhood; like he, kind of coaxed them into giving him a hand job, a couple of hand jobs.
Yeah, exactly. We got the hand job at the end, just punch the tip and twist it. But it also explains like why James Franco's Fabius, who's clearly has this like serious childhood sexual trauma, like he finds desire, his love object is this idiotic infantile character played by Zoe Deschanel.
Completely pointless character.
Damsel in distress in a tower who like doesn't know what a fork is. That's his idea of who he goes for. So somebody who is even less savvy and even more vulnerable than he is. It's just a movie that is just cycle of abuse continuing.
Damn.
Gary, I applaud you for that speech.
That's crazy.
Because I didn't pay enough attention. I saw it twice as well.
I
didn't
didn't
pay
pay
enough
that much
attention to
attention
make
either, but
that
that's-
connection. Though I
that's
did
crazy.
think those two things apart were both equally appalling and stupid.
We're meant to believe that Danny McBride is the flawed person in this film. We're meant to believe that this guy who's sheltered and selfish is bad because being selfish is bad. But
not
James
the
Franco,
warlike daddy's boy.
yeah, the guy who basically goes off to fight and in the midst of all this is abused, and then when he finds a woman to be his bride, it's because she's basically got the brain of a child. That's what we're dealing with in this film.
It is true.
That's what I'm saying. It's for 13-year-olds.
She was pretty slow.
This is what the people who made this movie think is funny.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like there was a lot of no in the room.
Because if I pulled this from watching it twice or 3 times in total, but twice in a week, if I was able to pull that out, then like these people who lived in this movie, in this stupid idea for years and years, the idea of this movie goes back to like Tropic Thunder. Like Danny McBride started writing this movie on the set of Tropic Thunder, like 2008, I think, or whatever. Like,
damn.
Like this movie is what they wanted to do for a long time.
He got a lot better at
they even say that they wanted to do that. And it was just very poorly executed, honestly. And then when you say that too, it's just kind of like, yeah, I'm just kind of all around disgusted.
I will take any Master P movie over this.
I will 100% take any Master P movie over this. Are you kidding me?
Any Master P movie over this.
At least I know what I'm getting. I'm getting guns. Okay. I'm getting bad accents. I'm getting terrible acting. I'm getting fucking the worst type of improv, shitty editing. Like I know what I'm getting going into a Master P movie. He's not offended like, oh, let me like put this meeting besides the mob thing, but that was like it was good because it still worked because at least it was real people and it was like it went with the movie and like MP The Last Dawn, but it wasn't like cringy. It was just kind of like this is funny because like why the fuck would he do this versus like ew.
If we ever watch MP The Last Dawn on this show, we're having you back on.
I would be
please have me back on if you watch MP The Last Dawn because that movie is so bad. Oh my gosh. That what else? Bout It. Yo, baller blocking sucks. Jesus Christ.
Wow.
I remember Bala Block and my friend
Hot Boys was like Master P's like that was like his Steven Spielberg movie. That was like his Fast and Furious.
Hell yeah.
That was like, yeah, that was like the high budget, like, yeah, this looks good. But it was still kind of bad. It was still like the Master P touch, but it was like that's like his best one. Damn, there's so many like low budget movies like that I like. Yo, you know which one? You know which one's pretty like bad?
Okay.
Yeah.
Belly 2.
Oh, Belly 2. Belly
Yo,
2.
Belly 2 sucks. It has nothing to do with Belly 1. They should have just called the movie Compton.
I cannot do. I love Belly like any red-blooded American. I love Belly.
Yo, Belly, the first Belly,
but Belly 2, I can't.
All right.
I can't get through it.
Belly 2 was so bad. The only reason it was good is because the game was a popular rapper around that time, and I really wanted to see him like shoot guns in Compton because I was like very obsessed with like gangs as a kid, just like studying them and shit. So I really like to see that part, but like it had nothing to do with Belly 2. Only thing it had to do was like there was one person that was from Belly 1 in the movie that just made like a scene where they just show him and he's like shaking his head like, hey, like it's just a cameo, and then like that's about it. The movie just sucked. How can we not mention Friday when we talk about high movies? When my homies were in college, all their boys did was get high and watch Friday, and I kind of got sick of it because I was just like, damn, man, there's 2 more Fridays. Y'all just want to watch the first one? Like, god damn, bro, you're kind of killing us.
There's a whole universe of movies outside.
That's what I'm saying, but then this Friday,
I did the same thing.
This next Friday is like, I think that's top tier Fridays. But then like Friday after next is like low key one of the best ones. Like next Friday, I will say next Friday as a whole, I think is the best one. Like I don't know why. I think it's just like it. I think it's because it's a great second movie. You know how certain second movies usually kind of flop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
Like that one was like, it was really good. Like it was like, oh shit, like they actually did their thing on this.
I've definitely never heard anyone say next Friday is better than Friday. I've never heard that.
Friday's good, like it's good, but I don't know. It's just like
it's not a criticism, of course.
Yeah, it's not a criticism, but it's just like we've all seen this before. Like, you know, it's just kind of like, I don't know, next Friday, something about next Friday is just like, it's funny. Next Friday is kind of funnier.
But I want to stop you for a sec. Because you also seem to have a positive view of Friday After Next.
Friday After Next is great. Who doesn't like Friday After Next? They're smoking crack. Friday After Next is a great movie.
You're telling me that that's a great movie?
Yo, Friday After Next is amazing, bro. Oh my, what? The party scene, fucking Pinky coming in, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Yo, what? That was specifically why I was Pinky for Halloween.
Wow.
Based off of that movie alone, bro. Friday After Next is a great movie. Then you have Terry Crews. You have Terry Crews and Cat Williams.
Yes.
And they killed it. 2 brand new characters.
Right.
And they were amazing for the Friday movie. It wasn't extra or anything. Then you had Miss Pearly. She was fucking hilarious. Tell your fine looking daddy, I said, hate that bitch. Yo, like, bam. So many quotables from next Friday. Oh my gosh. Fucking, you was eating while I was getting beaty. You're fine. Give me a whistle. Oh, fucking Uncle Elroy, when he got robbed and he started chasing dude, and Craig was like, slow down, you're gonna hurt yourself. He got my rolling. Security, you need to turn in your damn whistle. Or when they was getting robbed and homie was like, he was like, he was robbing them and he was like, what you like? Oh, we got $20. I ought to shoot your broke ass. And then he's like, give me the Rolex, looking like a Mississippi pimp. And he's like, oh no, not the Rolex. And then he goes, nah, it's a Stoli. Not like, it's just my and I described that in a very bad way. But if you watch the scene,
you're killing it.
You have sold me. I'm rewatching this fucking movie.
I'm watching the fucking movie.
And that's why I say Friday After Next is like a low key, like
it's a low key bang.
People don't talk about it as much, but it is one of the funniest ones. If you really, it has the most quotables, I would say. It has the most quotables. All you can think of from Friday, what's it? I'ma beat the ass, like that scene.
Yeah.
You got my bud or my money, I'ma kill you, nigga. It's not like I didn't really say it the right way, but it's a couple quotables in that. I mean, next Friday, it has some quotables. It definitely has some quotables for sure. But I think next Friday has quotables, but it might have the least amount, but they're the most powerful quotables. Like the whole Baby D thing, when he describing Baby D and shit, that's just a fucking timeless classic. Fucking when Sticky Fingers is talking on the phone and shit, that's just a classic. Like when they pull up on him, there's a couple quotables from there, but Friday After Next, in my opinion, has the most quotables. Like has the most, fam.
All right. I'm convinced.
You know how bad Your Highness is? We would rather talk about the Friday franchise.
Every episode.
Didn't have to listen to any more talk about that piece of shit movie.
Your Highness literally just it's a bunch of dick jokes, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's just kind of like
there's some laughs.
I got the best comparison to it. It's like season 4 of Boondocks.
Oh shit.
Whoa.
That's literally what it's like.
Whoa.
Nigga, you gay. That's all they kept saying in the season 4 of Boondocks. And I was like, fam, why does this shit seem like kind of trash? And why does John Witherspoon not sound like John Witherspoon? And then come to find out, they got like white writers because the Aaron.
Yeah, they kicked McGruder out.
Yeah, he was out, and then they just got writers, and they just kind of started overdoing the jokes, like the real funny, like "nigga, you gay" was hilarious, and like the all the other seasons, but then in the 4th season, it was just kind of like they kind of overdid it. That was just kind of like their claim.
It's like all they heard when they went back and watched the rest.
Yeah, it was just kind of like
show.
It just felt
they
like
went back and were like, "This is the only thing we think is funny in this whole."
Yeah, it just felt like white people wrote Boondocks.
Yeah,
essentially. And that's what Your Highness feels like. People that like Pineapple Express and all of these actors that are in those like Seth Rogen type movies just got them together and was like, oh, haha, let me use your funniest jokes and just do them all, like just kill them. Essentially, that's what it felt like.
Makes sense to me.
And then like I'm also into fucking Game of Thrones and Star Wars, so let me add those too. Oh yeah, and you guys smoke weed, so like smoke some weed, mate.